Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be discussing what if Deku was a Saiyan. We will be covering Stain's attack, some more training with the God of Destruction Vegeta, and a looming threat status. So the exams and a looming threat status, the history with the current God of Destruction. Well, let's get into it, shall we? Deku goes to Vegeta's planet instead of Gran Torino for a day or two. So All Might asks for Deku to train with his old master. This is on the last 2 days of the internship, so Gran Torino realizes that Deku already knows full cow, since while training with Vegeta noticed that he was only powering up a certain part of his body, instead of just doing it full out. So Gran Torino, pretty much only thing he can do is try to help him gain higher percents. After a day and a half, he managed to get Deku up to 8%. Why am I making it so high so early? Well, Deku has had Whis training after all, which would make him much stronger than anyone in My Hero Academia. That's why I'm doing something different in one of the next arcs coming up. A special arc. But we'll get into that in another video. Now let's get over to a different side of things. So, Ida's brother still gets very injured by the hero killer Stain. Every other internship stays the same except for one person in particular. As I mentioned in part 4, Vegeta and Whis were watching a sports festival. Vegeta would notice a certain girl using novice martial arts move against a certain other blonde-haired boy, and would take interest in her. This girl obviously being Uraraka. Vegeta knows that a Saiyan only can reach their maximum potential with a good rival. Sure, there was his Bakugo kids who was fighting against, who was in Deku's class, which he already had a rivalry with, but it would be better for him to have multiple rivals, since if one of them could die, which wouldn't really happen likely, but it's better to be good than sorry. So on Friday, Vegeta and Whis pay little visits to her internship. The hero agency sees these two visitors, and most of them recognize them as the folk who took a child in the USG attack. Vegeta and Whis explain and introduce themselves. The heroes of the agency call up UA and explain the situation to Nezu. Nezu answers the phone obviously and explains a little talk Nezu and Vegeta had the past week. It says while they are not to be trusted yet, and to be left alone with Raka just yet, they did an interview with a pro hero that can read minds. In another room, the pro hero explained to me that what Vegeta was saying was telling no lies, and considering what he has shown off, he can't have something that can negate slash change the outcome as quirks. He probably has a strength enhancer quirk, or just something entirely different than a quirk. For now, they give Vegeta permission to spar with Uraraka with at least 2 pro heroes in the room. I saw some very, very, very light training. Even lighter than Deku at first, after all. After all, Rocket is only a human, making her not so powerful at birth and even with a lot of training. Just look at Krillin, he has been training for most of his life, and he still can't compete with Goku after he was training for real long with another Saiyan. Of course, that's Vegeta. Deku. Now let's get into the Saiyan attack. Gran Torino and Deku still go to Hoshu City. Deku senses that Ida is fighting an unknown power level. Also, small note, Ida, as well as everybody on Earth, has a power level, because in the Cell Saga, Goku senses that people in Town were somehow dying in a weird way. So that means even people that don't know Ki have Ki signatures. Now let's get going with the story again. Deku goes off in a different direction of Ida. Goes off in the direction of Ida. Deku finds Ida and a pro hero beat up on the floor. He tries to have a little fun with Saiyans, so he powers down a little, because he still has the blood of a Saiyan and loves a good challenge. But when Stain attacks with his sword and knives, they break instantly. Deku, having learned to make Ki into a armor in the 5 days on Vegeta's planet, Stain, realizing he has to just use his fist, goes to Deku square in the face. But Deku dodges it easily. He goes in for another punch, but he can't seem to hit him. Deku gets serious and punches Stain right in the chest, making him spit out a little bit of his blood. Deku keeps punching Stain, who is almost knocked out, but using a surprise punch to Deku's jaw gets some of Deku's blood on his fist and licks it, activating his quirk. Stain says to Deku, "That was impressive, kid. I'll spare you for now, but try not to interfere with my plan next time." Stain gets cut off by a wall of ice approaching fast in his face. Todoroki, while not using his fire side yet, in the sports festival, still interns with Endeavor. Austin runs up with superhuman speed at Todoroki. Todoroki just barely manages to dodge it, responds with a punch square to the face. Todoroki says, "I learned something from you, Madara. In the sports festival, you showed me that you cannot just hide your power." And he uses his fire side to try to save his friends, and he is able to stay up for that for long enough for Deku to be able to move again. He attacks with so much force that he punches Strain through a building or two, knocking him out for a while. Todoroki and Deku pick up Ida and the injured pro hero. Todoroki calls Endeavor and he arrives. It ends up with the same result as in canon, but the gnome still grabs Deku. What are they going to do? At that moment, Stein's instincts are screaming for him to get up. He gets loose of the police officers holding him and punches the Nomu square in the face, pretty much in the brain, so that he can't do anything anymore. This means that the result would be as the same as in canon, with Endeavor still getting credit for the takedown of Stain, with only a few people knowing the truth. Uraraka calls Deku after a long day of training with Vegeta. She tells Deku that she has been training with Vegeta and learned a few new things that Deku can do as well. She was a little surprised Tsuki was able to do it, but thinks it's probably just some new technique that Vegeta has to do to survive or something. Deku answers to her that they can spar sometime after he is healed, and both of them blush on the opposite side of the phone, with her in turn still pretty much laughing at her blushing. Deku hangs up, and they both continue like normal for a while, till it's time for the exams. Deku and Bakugo still end up fighting against All Might, with nobody else's matches up really changing, except for Uraraka and Aoyama, which would not change much other than them having a way easier time than against Black Hole than in canon. Now let's get into the All Might versus. Now let's get into the All Might versus Deku and Bakugo fight. Bakugo will listen to Deku, unlike in canon, since he respects Deku way more than in canon. Also, he knows that the only way that he can win is to work together. Bakugo, still not knowing the full extent of Deku's powers. Also, Bakugo is going to be way less angry at Deku right now, since he, for one, did not. Deku and Bakugo start off the battle by trying to stay hidden and going to the exit. Both of them are going to be found by All Might, with Deku going to face him off for now. Bakugo goes to try to go to the exit, so he starts to go full speed, with All Might jumping in front of him in his tracks. Deku and Bakugo start to fight All Might together. Deku goes away for just a second and manages to throw a third ki blast in All Might's wound, pretty much knocking him out. Deku and Bakugo put the handcuffs on. Let's get into the villain that is approaching. On a faraway planet, a loud siren was going off, with some alien-looking soldiers telling the higher-ups of the base, "Lord Glacier is about to awaken." This is a descendant of Frieza. While not being nearly as strong as Frieza even on Namek, he needed a new lord for the army to look to. The first thing they tried to do is a meeting with the Frieza lookalike. It would look exactly like Frieza. The soldier brings up the Dragon Balls on Earth. Glacier would think about this and ask, is that not where my dad died?" The highest up soldier would say, "Well, yes, Frieza did die there. There are no strong power levels that will be able to contend with you on that planet anymore." But let's get into that part of the story in the next episode. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, I'm starting to stream pretty regularly now. so be sure to drop by if you can. See ya!